Hello everyone, I'm JG and welcome back to Music Forever, where today I'm going to be reviewing the newest EP from Sodom Partisan. This is the newest project from Thrash legend Sodom, who have recently dropped this new EP here, which consists of 2 new tracks as well as a couple of live tracks as well. Now there is a bit of a discrepancy that I've noticed between when I streamed this album through Spotify and looked it up through like iTunes. It lists 2 live tracks being part of this EP, but whenever I look this EP up online just for a track list, it only lists 1 of the live tracks. So I don't know if like the second of these live tracks is supposed to be like a bonus track or something like that, or maybe it was added into the track listing very late into the release of this EP. I don't know exactly why there's this discrepancy, but I'm going to talk about both live tracks on here. I typically don't cover bonus tracks or anything here on this channel, but because I'm not sure, I'm just going to talk about both live tracks on here anyway. So yeah, I did want to make that clear. But so this EP here has 2 new tracks, 2 live tracks, and I think that it's a pretty solid EP overall. The 2 new tracks that you get on here are overall pretty enjoyable songs. I don't think that they're some of Sodom's best tracks or anything quite like that, but I think for what they are, they're pretty enjoyable. Both the title track and Conflagration are pretty enjoyable overall. I liked a lot of the riffs on this thing. I like a lot of the vocals as well. I like how they still managed to have that very menacing presence to them, despite the fact that this band has been dropping albums since the 80s. They still managed to keep up a lot of that thrashy aggression that I really like. And these 2 tracks here are pretty solid examples of why Sodom still has been a pretty consistent band over the years, despite having been around so long, like I said before. As for the 2 live tracks that appear on this EP, I typically don't cover a lot of live albums or live tracks here on this channel, but given that this EP is a mix of studio and live recordings, I'm just going to talk about them here anyway. And you ended up getting a live track version of their song Tired and Red, as well as a live track version of One Step Over the Line. And both of these live recordings are pretty good in my opinion. I like the fact that they sound pretty clear despite being live recordings. Honestly, they don't sound all too far off, at least in my own opinion, from maybe what you would get in a studio recording for a very rough around the edges band. The sound quality on these live recordings is pretty good in my opinion, and I also really love the energy that they bring to these tracks as well. They're clearly not just phoning in these live performances. I love once again how the vocals just sound very menacing on these live tracks. It's not just something that you'll find in the first 2 studio tracks on this EP. It carries over into the live tracks as well, and I just feel like all the performances across these live tracks are pretty well done, and ultimately I found myself really enjoying these 2 live tracks, no less than the 2 studio tracks that preceded it. I know some people might not be interested in checking out the live tracks considering they're just live versions of already existing songs from this group, but if you're listening to this EP, I wouldn't recommend skipping out on these 2 tracks because I think both of them are pretty enjoyable and pretty solid cuts. And, sure, they're not going to be entirely new because, like I said, these songs have existed for a while now in studio recorded versions, but they're still solid live performances, and they definitely showcase that this band can do, a whole lot when they're in the live setting, and they can definitely put on a good show, or at least it sounds that way. I haven't seen this band live, unfortunately, but it sounds like they could put a heck of a show on with recordings like this. So yeah, if you're a fan of this band, I highly recommend you check out this EP. Chances are you probably already have, though. And if you're, a more casual fan, if you're just like a thrash metal fan or a metal fan in general, I think you'd get some enjoyment out of this EP as well. If you're unfamiliar with this group, I highly recommend you check out some of their bigger, more influential and important albums first, probably, but this isn't a bad thing to check out as well if you're looking for good EPs released in 2018. Like I said, both studio recorded tracks on this thing are pretty solid, and the 2 live tracks on here are also pretty high quality. They're pretty solid, entertaining live performances of some already existing and pretty solid Sodom songs. So if you like this band, if you like this style of music, this EP is worth a listen. I think you'll get some enjoyment out of it. If it's not really your style of music, if you're not a fan of this band, this EP isn't really going to change your mind though. So yeah, that's really all there is to say about this EP. Pretty short project, 2 new tracks, 2 live tracks, but overall, was pretty entertaining in my opinion. So yeah, I'd recommend this if you're a fan of the band, of the genre, anything like that. And it is just my own personal opinion, so if you happen to disagree, that's perfectly fine. In fact, feel free to leave your opinion in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, make sure you leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel for more music-related content. Things like album reviews, track reviews, countdown list, all that good stuff. If you don't want to miss out on that, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Thank you for watching, and stay golden.